الحمد لله الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم وقد قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I start off today, of course, sending our condolences and making dua from the bottom of our heart for those families who are suffering in Peshawar on the loss of their children in the terrible incident that happened at the school in Pakistan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fill their hearts with sabr. May Allah ta'ala grant their children the daraja of shahadat and make it a means of their maghfirat and forgiveness of their parents. Certainly, this is a terrible thing that happened. At this time, I also make dua for the forgotten children. There are many who have died in this ummah who are young children who don't have the media coverage these kids have gotten, nor do they get a janazah, nor do they get our duas also. And they're much more than 135. And other people have killed them as well. So may Allah Ta'ala forgive them as well. May Allah Ta'ala give them the shahadat and give them a great daraja also on the day of Qiyamah. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and base my talk and tell you that this thing is wrong, because we all know logically this is something that is wrong. And our deen also is not such that has doubt about this, that is it wrong or right or what's going on. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the different books, Bukhari and Muslim and all these different ahadith books, all of them have erected a chapter called Kitab al-Fitan, the chapter of the fitna and the mischief and the terrible things that will happen. And most of those ahadith are dedicated to incredible, terrible things that will happen before the day of Qiyamah. And it's not specified with our time. If we look at the history, then even at the time of Sahaba, after the demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was bloodshed, and they also were already thinking that Qiyamah is coming close. If we look at the Islamic history, the Tatars and the Mongols, what happened with Rome, the different wars that we've been involved in, blood has been shedding, and it was actually the first thing that popped up in the Malaika's mind, the angel's mind, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I'm creating a Khalifa in the earth. And the first thing they said, Yasfikud dima, they're going to shed blood. These people are going to fight. So this is not something surprising that we are looking. Of course, it's surprising in the way that we would never do such a thing like that. But this is the time that we are in, and these are the inevitable circumstances that come in front of us, which is the taqdeer of Allah ta'ala, and things are going to only probably get worse. I cannot sit here and tell you the solution, how we're going to stop these things, and what's going to be the answer. There are better minds and more sophisticated and better people with better means than me who have been attempting to stop these things for the last few years, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. They're failing in all corners and all ways. But if we just think about the hadith of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where the Prophet Muhammad once told the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum that the day of Qiyamah will not come until upheaval, mischief, strife is common amongst you. The Sahaba then asked, what is this upheaval and what is this strife and war and fitna that you're talking about? So the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a lot of war, fighting, bloodshed. And the Sahaba asked a very strange question, and they told Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we ourselves we are fighting the mushrikeen. We have this war going on every year. We're having some type of fight. Some of them are dying, some of us are dying. There's war going on already. What's the thing about war? War has been going on since the time immemorial. It's still going on now at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and after, it probably happened even more. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no. You misunderstood. You will not be fighting at that time with the mushrikeen. You will be fighting amongst each other. And to such a point that the man will kill his own neighbor and he will kill his own family member also. This is the state of affairs that it will reach. It's inevitable. No matter how much we try and stop it, it's going to keep happening. The only thing that surprises me is how we're not turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the thing that surprises us. That all these things are happening, we're seeing it right in front of us. They are things that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam admitted to this ummah. He didn't say that this ummah will have angels' wings and they will fly to Jannah to the day of Qiyamah. We ourselves will be doing these things. We ourselves will be messing up. And it's happening right before us. And we should never ever look at these incidents, even though they have been done by people of our ummah, people who are Muslims, or claim to be Muslims, or have strayed away from the haqq and the right way. It could be due to jahalat, ignorance. Many times it's due to emotions, certain situations. It's very easy for us to hear sitting in New York with our kids playing in the playground and everything in safety, and for us to criticize the actions of different people in other countries when we don't know the situation they're in. And of course, no situation deems right to kill a child. But just imagine if you saw someone rape your wife and kill your children in front of you, and you had an opportunity for revenge, it might be different. That's all I'm saying. Our emotions might get over us also. So these lands that these things are happening, it's a whole different story and a whole different thing over there. It's not the same as here. We're sitting on our soft couches and we've got our houses and we're wondering whether, if interest is halal or not. Can I buy a house? And you got people whose houses are getting bulldozed. And then when that person screams and takes revenge, then we very quickly sit here and say that, astaghfirullah, look at them, he's following his nafs and his desires. We don't know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't sit here and I can't criticize. And with the media and all these things, I'm so scared I say something and I misquoted. And I'm so scared that I say something today and then tomorrow we find out it's propaganda. Allah knows best. But one thing we do know is that these incidents should never ever cause any type of, so to say, what can we say? Doubt in our belief with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah did not condone things like this. Rasulullah was a realist. He did not come and say that there will be no war, there will be no bloodshed, this ummah won't make mistakes. Khata, we will make mistakes. There will be bloodshed in this ummah, there will be jihad, there will be fighting, there will be defending, there will be peace, there will be crying, there will be laughing also. Our Rasulullah was a realist. He was a real person giving real solutions and showing us real incidents and real things. The Quran is a real book. It's not a fairy tale book. These things happened before, where people were killed and people were being murdered. It's happened. It's been happening in history. So let it not be that these incidents cause any doubt to us with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why the Sahaba, they were called the only Muslims because they had these great qualities and they were 100% in them. إنما المؤمنون الذين آمنوا بالله ورسوله ثم لم يرتابوا وجاهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم في سبيل الله أولئك هم الصادقون. Allah Ta'ala explains some very beautiful qualities of the Sahaba. They were those people who first of all believed in Allah and His Rasul ثم لم يرتابوا, and they had no doubt that he was the Rasul of Allah Ta'ala. No matter what people said to him, no matter what situation they were in, they would never ever doubt that Rasulullah was a prophet. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from shak and from doubt. Believe me, if you sit there all day and watch the news, if our children sit there all day and watch the news, and we don't give them ta'aleem, and we don't teach them about the deen of Allah Ta'ala, and they have to go to school, and you are going to work, and believe me, we are in such a situation now that is even embarrassing for us to pick our heads up and say that we are Muslim. We don't know what to say to these people. And half of it is propaganda, and the other half is our own fault. We've got people messing up. Jahalat and emotions are taking over many people in our ummah, and people are doing things wrong. So if we don't have that iman and that good faith, then in the face of others, and forget about us, we had our parents and we have a history of Islam, our children who are growing up in this country, after a while they may say that, forget about this. Why am I even holding on to this for? Let me leave it. You know, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his name's Siddiq. Ulaika humus sadiqun. They were all Sadiq, but there's only one Siddiq. There's only one Siddiq. And that door is closed. No one can be Siddiq until the day of Qiyamah. And the reason why he got this is because there was a common doubt on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he stood up and said, it can't be. My prophet is true. When he went to Mi'raj and the mushrikeen started laughing, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained what happened to him in the ascension to the heavens, and the mushrikeen came to Abu Bakr, he was not in view of it, he didn't know yet, he was coming back from a travel, and they came to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and they told him that, what would you say about a person who said, I went to the 7 heavens and saw heaven and hell and all these things, and I flew and went to Baytul Muqaddis. What would you say about a person? Say he's crazy. Abu Bakr said, I'd say he's crazy. They said, your Prophet Muhammad is saying this. Abu Bakr said, oh, Prophet Muhammad said this. Oh, and then it's true then. Then 100% true. Then they looked at him in surprise and he said, what are you surprised at? Him going to the heavens? I'm saying every day that someone is coming down from the heavens, Jibreel, and bringing him wahi. Forget about him going up there. They're coming down to him. And I believe in this 100%. What's the big deal if one time he went up there? From this he was called a Siddiq. Some ulama say the reason why he's called Siddiq is because once Rasulullah came to him and said, I'm a prophet of Allah, he said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. First person, not even a doubt, you are the prophet. Khuzaymah bin Sabit, Khuzaymah was a great Sahabi of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And one day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the outskirts of Medina Munawwara, he bought a camel from a Jewish person. Some say it was a Bedouin, Allah knows best. And he bought it from him for a stipulated price, and Rasulullah did not have the money on him, so he said, let's go to my house, I'll get the money for you, and we will give this back. The hadith is in Abu Dawood. It's a famous story. So as he was walking, other people saw this mount, this animal, and they started offering prices. Prices that were more than the price of Rasulullah. So the person who sold it to him started entertaining these prices and agreed with another person. Prophet Muhammad then said that I have agreed with you, we're getting the money, you cannot sell this to somebody else. Then he said, I don't have no deal with you. You're lying. The people started coming around. And then they asked Rasulullah, do you have a witness? No, it was just me and him. We're the ones that did the deal. It was a handshake, nothing written even. Sorry, we can't help you. There was no witnesses. So Rasulullah was going to lose a deal. But from the back, Khuzaymah, he started asking, what was happening? What's going on here? Then they told him about this. Khuzaymah stepped right in and said, I witnessed the deal. Prophet Muhammad was right. Prophet Muhammad looked at him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That, Khuzaymah, come here. You were not there. Why are you lying for? Then Khuzaymah said, look at his view behind it. He said, Rasulullah, how could you be a liar? Impossible. I know this guy's lying. You are coming with wahi, with the book of Allah Ta'ala. We believe 100% in you. If the Jew says you are lying or the Bedouin says you are lying, it can't be. I'm giving my witnessing today. And the Prophet Muhammad said, from this day on, Khuzayma's eyewitness counts as two witnesses. Because in Sharia, you have to have two witnesses. And later on, I won't get into the story, in one of the ayats of Quran, which was only by one Sahabi, and it had to be two Sahabi had to have it. Many Sahaba knew about the ayat, but written down, they only had this ayat of Quran. When Zayd bin Thabit, he collected the Quran. So when there was only one person with the ayat written, there was a little bit of confusion. Khuzaymah came, and he was the one that had it written. And then one Sahabi stood up and said that I've heard the Prophet Muhammad say that the witnessing of Khuzaymah is actually two witnesses. And then the ayat of Quran was added. Anyway, so I'm just trying to move my point that we should never have any shak, any type of doubt in the risala, in the prophethood of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. What happened yesterday, if you look at the sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam and what he has told us, it's not something that should be extremely surprising. These things are going to happen. They're unfortunate. The most thing is that we have to not be a part of it, and we have to shun it, and we have to make sure that we are not part and parcel of any zulm or any oppression that goes on. And we can do this by following the beautiful sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. MashaAllah, the month of Safar is finishing. Next month we come across that month that Allah Ta'ala brought this great Rasul into our lives. This world in that month, so the best of all Allah's creation born in that month, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we can sit here and talk about his history, or we can talk about the difference on whether his birthday should be celebrated or not, and that I'm not going to do. What is important for us is that 24 hours a day, for the rest of our lives, without a second being passed over, how can we become the proper followers of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we don't know the hukuk and the rights upon us of even our neighbor, our child, even our car, if we don't know the rights of our car on us, and we don't get an oil change, and we don't check the tires, then it could be such that we'll have an accident in that car very soon. Right now we're sitting next to a person. If we don't know the hukuk and the rights of the man on the right and left of us, then no one would sit next to us. We'll be very uncomfortable sitting next to anybody if they don't know our rights, and the guy's banging into us and he doesn't care. The rights of every single thing has hukuk, has rights to it. Do you think that the Rasul of Allah Ta'ala does not have hukuk and rights? Of course he does. In a nutshell, the hukuk and rights of Rasulullah are basically three. Mahabba of Rasulullah, ita'at and the obedience to Rasulullah, and durood sharif on Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Brothers can move in, inshallah, if we have some space. A lot of brothers here, so we can move in and get a little closer. Inshallah, Allah Ta'ala will give reward. First of all, the heart. We have to have the mahabba and the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, iman has been based on it also. The hadith of Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has mentioned, La yu'minu ahadukum, none of you can be a complete and true believer until he loves me more than his own father, his children, and all of his family members. All of the people in the whole world, he must love me more. If he does not, then he may not be a complete or true believer in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today the heart turns towards people who are not supposed to be loved. They don't have these traits, and their love is not mutual also. They don't love us as well. They love our money. They love the fact that we spend money and make their bank accounts bigger. But we love them so much, and we follow them by footstep, and we read about them. They don't care about us. They don't read about us. They don't worry about us. If we don't have food at night, they won't worry. On the day of Qiyamah, they'll try to get away from us. Tabarra'na ilayka. They will tell Allah Ta'ala that we free ourselves. We announce to you that we free ourselves from them. We don't want to be a part of them. We led them astray, but they were astray already. They will push us away. The Rasul of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, ummati, ummati. In this world also, crying, worrying about the ummah, and in the next world, sifarish and the asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the intercession of Rasulullah for not only the people who are, for the sinners of this ummah. Rasulullah will stand for them on the day of Qiyamah. People who in the darkness of night did deeds which Rasulullah hated. In the light of the day, with jur'at and boldness, they went against the sunnahs of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The demand should be such that Rasulullah stands against them on the day of Qiyamah. Rasulullah will stand for them on the day of Qiyamah, asking Allah Ta'ala to save them because they are my ummah. The love doesn't even really have to be as mutual in regards to Rasulullah. He loves us, the only one whether we love him or not. That's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was once sitting amongst his Sahaba, and one Bedouin came. And the Bedouin screamed out very loud in his majlis, Ya Muhammad, very loud. Very disrespectful he was in that majlis. And then the Sahaba turned around and they became very angry. And even after that, this Bedouin, he said that I will not lower my voice. I want to talk to Muhammad. And he was not even talking him Nabi of Allah Ta'ala or Rasulullah, Muhammad, calling him by his first name, which amongst us also is disrespect for those who are elders and have great maqam. So he goes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah very beautifully calls him to him and calls him in a voice louder than what he said. So to say, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was saying that you are not over me. I can go just the same level as you and scream at you also. Rasulullah, it's beautiful akhlaq. Anzilu nasa manazilhum. Treat people according to what, he was a Bedouin. He didn't know the etiquettes of a majlis and a gathering. So he comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what he says, Inna ar-rajula yuhibbul qawm walamma yalhaqu bihim. A man, he loves the people, but he just can't be with them. He was talking about himself, that I'm in the Badia, I'm far out in the desert, I'm not a city man. And I can't be here every day with you, but believe me, from that far land, my love is with you. I love you so much. Rasulullah then said that that person, whoever he loves, he will be with him on the day of Qiyamah. If you love me, then inshallah you will be with me on the day of Qiyamah. That's why I always say, if somebody says, I love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and outwardly it doesn't seem that they are following Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I still tell you, do not dissuade that person from loving Rasulullah. We can say it in a nicer way and bring him towards the sunnah, but do not say things like, look at you, you love Rasulullah? Why don't you follow him also? That's known, it's ma'roof, we have to follow him as well. But this person, by mere loving Rasulullah, Rasulullah said, you'll be with me, just by loving him. But obviously, true love comes when we are obedient. And we have to be obedient to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have to obey him as well. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, in such times of difficulty, and the most difficult time is when your life is at threat. At that time, people do all strange things. Nafsi, nafsi, my own self. How can I save myself when a person's about to die? Life flashes before them. Bad decisions are made at that time. The Sahaba were clear as a wiped piece of glass, believe me. They were so clear in their love and their ita'at and their obedience to Rasulullah up to their last breath. They were ready to follow Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the battle of Khandaq, in Ahzab, a delegation, a coalition force is coming of over 20,000 about to kill Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Sahaba, their wives, their children, they are going to attack Medina and do the worst of all things. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, not prepared. Allah Ta'ala inspires them through the mashwara. Salman Farsi says, build the ditch. They build the ditch. They don't have any food. Maybe 10 foot by 20 feet deep. Not an easy thing to do. A mile long. With no food in the heat of Medina. What kind of complaints we will be having? Actually, the munafiqin at that time, they were complaining. Rasulullah in that time told them that inshallah you will take over Caesar and you will take over the Yemen and you will take over Rome and Faris. The munafiqeen started laughing. يَعِيدُكُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَأَحَدُنَا لَا يَأْمَنُ أَيَذْهَبْ إِلَى الْغَائِطِ. Rasulullah is promising you the superpowers of the whole world. We can't even go to the bathroom. We're building this ditch and we're holding ourselves. We can't go to the bathroom right now. The munafiqeen were saying this about Rasulullah. The lovers of Rasulullah, those who are obedient, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, نحن الذين بايعوا محمدا على الإسلام ما بقينا أبدا. We are those people who have taken allegiance to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as long as we are alive. Rasulullah, seeing them, he got so happy. And he said, لا عيش إلا عيش الآخرة فاغفر الأنصار والمهاجرة. That there's no life except the life of the hereafter. My Sahaba have understood this. Therefore, forgive the Ansar and forgive those who did Hijrah. Forgive them, Ya Allah. Look at them. Their obedience to me. And durood on Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We have to express our thanks to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And we cannot do that. We cannot fulfill the rights of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with our actions or through our tongue. The only one who could do it is who? Allahu tabaraka wa ta'ala. Rasulullah himself used to say that Allah Ta'ala is shaheed. He knows what I'm doing. He'll give me a reward. I don't want money from you. You cannot pay me the amount of money of the job I'm doing. There's no salary in the world that can be given to Rasulullah and fulfill the right of Nabuwat. Only Allah can do that. And our thanks also, we cannot thank Rasulullah enough, what he went through. That's why we say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Oh Allah, you send salat and salutations and peace upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We cannot do it, but you can, Ya Allah. You are Qadir. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. One day Aisha radiallahu anha, I finish on this, came to the house of Rasulullah sallallahu. Rasulullah came in his house, and Aisha was sitting, and Rasulullah was very happy, joyful. And Aisha, she's a wife, she saw that Rasulullah was happy. Good time to ask for something. Our wives are like this too, right? If we are happy and got paid, so that's the time to get the couch, right? Bring forward, let's go shopping. Aisha, her view was not there though. She was not into the goods and the shopping and all these different things. No. She said, oh Rasulullah, make dua for me. Since you're so happy, I get some dua from you. This is going to be good for me. And Rasulullah then said, Allahumma gfir li Aisha. ما تقدم من ذنبها وما تأخر وما أسرت وما أعلنت. Oh Allah, forgive Aisha whatever she did in the beginning or at the end, all of her sins. Anything she did in secret or in open, oh Allah, forgive all of it. Aisha became so happy. She was a young girl also. She put her head between her laps and started getting so happy. Ya Allah, what a dua. Rasulullah seeing the happiness of Aisha, then he told Aisha, oh, are you happy at this dua? She said, of course, what a dua. I've got the best dua in the world. Nobody's got a dua like this. Rasulullah said, this is my dua for my ummah after every salat. I'm making the same dua for my ummah. Every salat, I'm doing this. Don't you think we have to thank and show some shukr to him? He's not Allah Ta'ala. We don't make shukr like this. But the way that we can repay him, mukafa'a. Allama Sawi, the great Mufassir, Ibn Kathir, Mufassirin Muhaddith all say that the faida and the benefit of the durood and the salat on Nabi Sallallahu is mukafa'a. It is a repayment. It is a show of gratitude. That, oh, thank you, Ya Rasulullah, for all you did for us. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And it's not such that it's like a thanks that we give thanks and we don't. Nabi Sallallahu said, the person who gives salat on me and who sends the salutations to me, sallallahu alayhi ashra, we get 10 more rewards back. It's a no-lose situation. May Allah Ta'ala give us the mahabba and love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah Ta'ala give us the ability to obey him. And may Allah Ta'ala give us the ability that our tongue be busy, not with ghibat and not with baseless talking, but with the praise of Allah Ta'ala and the durood of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. May Allah Ta'ala protect our children. May Allah Ta'ala protect this ummah, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please bring this ummah on the right path, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Oh Allah, take us out of its barbaric and crazy state, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, please give value to the blood of this ummah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Please give value to the blood of this ummah, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Every single person is valuable, whether they are Muslim or whether they are non-Muslim. Ya Allah, please give us the value of life, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Wa akhu da'wana alhamdulillah.